Hi, Brady.
Hey, Dan, thanks for the wonderful intro. That was fantastic.
Yeah, you're welcome. How's the hair look right now?
Well, I just got done working out a little bit ago, so I can't imagine it's not TV ready. I'll put it that much.
Could you take a picture of just your hair? Could your wife do that and just send it to us?
My wife is actually working right now. So I don't think it's going to be possible, at least not until later on tonight. Maybe I'll send it to you on my Twitter feed or something.
Okay, that'd be fine. Maybe just go to the mirror and take a picture of yours. You've done that before. You've done like the Alex Rodriguez stuff. You've probably done that today where you've taken a picture of yourself in the mirror, haven't you?
Never, actually. I find selfies are incredibly feminine, and I think any guys who do them, they've got some issues. I'll put it that way.
All right. That's a statement right there by Brady Quinn. All right, the College Football Selection Committee, I'm in the minority, apparently. I say have a big reveal at the end of the regular season. Don't do it week by week, because I think the committee backs themselves into a corner by what they say and where they rank somebody. What would you think if it was just a December 6th or whatever day it is, boom, there you go, your Final Four?
I like it. I mean, I think they've presented to us the criteria at the beginning of this season in which they go about deciding, the movement in the rankings and really the top four teams. And you're right. When we listened to the conference call we were on, they talked essentially about four things. They said championships won, strength of schedule, head-to-head competition, and comparative outcomes of common opponents. This is the four main criteria they determined when trying to, figure out who should be in the top four amongst some of these more competitive teams with one another. So you look at this past ranking, Dan, I think you say Clemson and Alabama, probably by far and away the two top teams in the country. Then it's kind of a fight for those last two spots, and you've essentially got, let's say, another four teams between Oklahoma, Iowa, Michigan State, and Notre Dame biting for that spot, in my opinion. And that, clearly is what it looks like to them as well, as those are the top six teams right now in the ranking.
Yeah, I just have margin of victory plays a role in here, Brady, whether they'll admit to it or not. I go back to Ohio State against Wisconsin. If they don't blow them out last year, I don't think they make the Final Four. And then you had TCU with their big win over Iowa State, and then they drop a couple of spots. It's just weird if Notre Dame beats Boston College by 40, is Notre Dame dropping out of the top four down to 6?
I can't answer that. I sure hope not. But look, let's go back to last year, right? We looked at TCU and Baylor, two teams who were left out. They were co-conference champions of the Big 12. And the crazy thing to me was Baylor at 10-1 and TCU at 10-1 in week 14 of the college football playoff rankings. TCU was 3, Baylor was 6. What was absurd about that, Dan, was the fact that they had already played and Baylor had beat TCU.
Yeah.
So why was TCU then still ahead of them in the rankings? It makes no sense. Let's look at this year's. We've got Stanford sitting at number 9. Who they opened the season with, Dan? Northwestern. Northwestern's at 16, and they beat them. They're the same record, and they're both 9-2. So they're not even basing the rankings on their own criteria, which I just mentioned a minute ago.
He's Brady Quinn from Fox Sports. He's got Washington State, the Apple Cup. That'll be Friday. Then on Saturday, he's in studio with Notre Dame at Stanford. Boy, this is a big game. Huge game for Notre Dame. Obviously, if they don't win, they have no chance. But does Stanford have a chance to make it to the Final Four with a win over Notre Dame?
No, I don't think they do. I don't think any Pac-12 team does. That'd be a pretty big leap at this point. I think you're most likely going to see a Big Ten champion making it, and I actually think it'd probably end up being the Big 12 champion. In this case, most likely Oklahoma if they beat Oklahoma State. But let me just make my case for Notre Dame, if you will, Dan. It's Notre Dame.
Wait. Is this analyst or former quarterback at Notre Dame making the case?
No. Look. Here's my thing is, I think if you look at the 6 teams we talked about earlier and try to pass the eye test, to me, there's really 3 teams fighting for those last 2 spots fighting for. Oklahoma, who is playing good football as of late, although we're not sure about Baker Mayfield, their starting quarterback's condition for this upcoming game versus Oklahoma State. I would imagine he'd play. If he doesn't play, that wouldn't bode well for them. Trevor Knight struggled last week versus TCU in the second half. Then Michigan State. This Michigan State team should be undefeated, if not for a botched call versus Nebraska in the first place. and Notre Dame, because I think if you're going to evaluate their one losses, Notre Dame has the best one loss to the number one team in the country in Clemson on the road by 2. But let me just say this. When you're looking at the criteria of Notre Dame, Michigan State, and Oklahoma, I think it really comes down then, because I think if Michigan State wins out and wins the Big Ten, I think they're in. So then it's between Oklahoma and Notre Dame to me as one-loss teams. This is assuming that they both win this weekend versus Oklahoma State and Stanford. Now, if you look at the rankings, Stanford's ranked higher than Oklahoma State, so that would be a more quality win for Notre Dame. And you'd think that would give them a bit of an edge as well, since Oklahoma and Notre Dame won't be playing any more games after this weekend.
Yeah.
Now, the other edge that I think Notre Dame has in this case is Stanford's going to be playing for the Pac-12 championship, and they might be playing versus USC. So the winner of that game would then be the Pac-12 champion, which Notre Dame's beat both those teams if indeed they do win this weekend. So that would still be improving their strength of schedule and the record, even though they're not even playing a game. And you'd have to give them the leeway over Oklahoma because they've already played a stronger strength of schedule. They already had a stronger win, and they would be the quasi-Pac-12 champion, beating both USC and Stanford in this scenario. And the other thing I'll throw in there is the whole common opponents we talked about before, the criteria that the College Football Playoff Committee made up themselves, and Jeff Long told us, common opponents. Oklahoma lost to Texas. Notre Dame pounded Texas. That's going to be staring them in the face at the end of this whole deal. And if they want to put Oklahoma ahead of Notre Dame, then in that case, they'd be hypocrites. I mean, they'd be going against their own criteria that they built.
You probably spent more time on that than you did any class at Notre Dame, didn't you?
No, that is not true. Accounting 2 with Jeanette Otusa. That was a monster. I hope old Professor Otusa's out there somewhere just laughing, because that was a beast, man. I think that was the worst grade I ever got in any formal academic education. I think I got like I don't know, like a C-, D+. It was terrible. Worst class I've ever taken in my entire academic career.
A D+?
Yes, it was miserable.
No favoritism there. Well, maybe you had a bad. What were your stats at that time?
I can't remember. I think that was my junior year, so we were on the rise. Right? We were pretty hot. I don't think I got any favoritism.
Senior year, you would have gotten a B, right?
No chance. Believe me, there's professors there who really do not care to go to the football games. I actually had a political science course where, like, I walked in, I sat in the learning tee, right down the middle or somewhere up front, and I never really made much of a ruckus or talked to anyone. I was pretty quiet, tried to be, on time and all that. And her opening statement was something along the lines of, did anyone waste their time going to the football game this weekend? And I was kind of like, who's like shots fired here in South Bend, Indiana, like up in the front row. Like, everyone immediately looks at me like she is like, making a comment towards me in a negative way. We won too, so I wasn't sure what exactly her point was. But
did you ever wear your jersey to class?
Oh yeah, all the time. Jersey, no pants, just my boxers.
Wait, you had
jersey.
No pants on? Oh wow,
no pants on, just walking around South Bend Kansas fan.
I'm curious if you were you saw the Ezekiel Elliott post game comments there. I'm sure you've been in that situation before, but. Do we applaud him, credit him for transparency, for being honest in that situation?
Look, it comes off a little bit as disrespectful, but I think because he's young, he's in college, we can understand why. I mean, this was the key point in why they actually won a national championship last year. Go back and look at the Big Ten championship or the semifinal and the finals games. I mean, he touches the ball 20-plus times. He had a ton of production. And it's just been a struggle this year trying to, get him enough touches. The offensive line hasn't blocked quite as well. I mean, I think it's a combination of things. So he essentially just said what I think everyone was thinking. And it's unfortunate that it's become a big deal because I think they've since reconciled. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to the Ohio State-Michigan matchup because I think he's going to get a lot of touches. I know that as much. But I don't think it's going to hurt his draft stock or anything else. His 40 times is going to matter more than these comments he made to the media.
Before I let you go, I said earlier, I don't think the Browns went far enough with Johnny Manziel. It's gotten to the point where he's embarrassing them. If he doesn't want to be a pro and act like a pro, you played the position there. And, even when people say, well, he's just acting like a 23-year-old. No, he's different. He's a different 23-year-old than my son who's 23. there's cameras around, and I would have cut him. I'm just to the point where let him figure it out on his own, not with on my time with the Browns. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm concerned for the young man. I mean, he checked himself into a rehab facility, and I hope he gets help if indeed he does have a problem. And that's what I think I love about what head coach Mike Pettine's done is with his comments, that he's trying to come out and protect this young man and help him because they feel like there might be something going on there. So that's my biggest concern is that he gets the help he needs. He's obviously a very talented player. I think he's made some incremental steps in improving during his playing time. But the most frustrating thing to me about all this, if he doesn't have an issue, and the whole rehab thing and all that was just a ploy to try to trick the organization and the media into thinking that he's gotten help and he's rehabilitated and all that stuff, is the fact that you don't see any other quarterback getting popped on their bye week in clubs, rapping to a video and all that. I mean, look, man, I grew up a Cleveland Browns fan, so that was my childhood dream, and I got traded away from there. I would have stayed there and tried to make it work for as long as they would let me. And it just hurts to see a guy who's ruining a great opportunity with an amazing fan base who deserves better if indeed he's just out there gallivanting and partying and so forth. I mean, look, this team is starved for a Super Bowl. They're starved for a quarterback who's going to be able to go in there and take it seriously and grind and work and do all the things that he needs to do until he gets to the top. I mean, save that stuff for the offseason, man. This is the Browns team who's trying to get out of the bottom of the AFC North. And do you think the Ravens, after losing Joe Flacco last week, are really going to take you lightly? They've got way too much pride. Ozzie Newsome and Harbaugh and those guys, way too much pride to let the Browns all of a sudden take over third place in the AFC North this season. That's what's probably most upsetting about all of it is the fact that he's not respecting the position that he's given. And you don't understand it until it's gone. How much it means to be a starting quarterback in the NFL and to lead one of those teams.
Yeah, I think he wakes up one day and he's out of the league and he goes, "What just happened?" Because it goes by so quickly, and you're well aware of that as anybody is. Have fun this weekend, Brady. Washington State. That'll be on Fox on Friday, and then Saturday he'll be in the studio for Fox's pregame halftime coverage of Notre Dame losing at Stanford. What?
No, that's not going to be the case. Have a happy Thanksgiving, Dan. Have a drumstick for me, won't you?
I will, and I'll wait for a picture of your hair. Thank you, Brady.
That won't be happening.
All right. That's Brady Quinn. He doesn't like selfies, by the way.